Hello everyone and welcome back to this second video for the Encyclopedia Kickstarter campaign. I'm here with Jamie.
Hello everybody.
And we are going to be going through some of the questions that you've been asking us and discussing the Magna Itinera expansion.
Exactly, but first,
we are pre-filming this video as we did with the first one, as our video team unfortunately was not available to film us live. However, I have to say, I like this format. Just because we are posting these videos as YouTube premieres, which allows us to actually answer your comments live in the comments section, which is great for us.
Yeah, it was quite an easy launch with the live video. We could be in the comments and the YouTube video and diffusing the video at the same time.
Yeah.
It was practical.
It was
a
great.
lesson learned. We'll see how we go in the future.
Also, we get terrible reception in this studio room. So the amount of times we've thought we were answering all your questions really well during a live video and then had like a million comments pop up as soon as we left the room. This actually works well. We may actually continue doing this if you guys are okay with that. But yeah, we are filming this on a Tuesday. This video will most probably be getting posted on Thursday. So you will be watching this right now. Hello from the past. And we have just reached 2,000 backers.
2,000 backers, which is a major milestone for us.
It's a major milestone for us. We're very happy. So thank you all so much for backing the game. We honestly couldn't be happier at this stage.
I mean, 2,000 is generally, obviously we're not a huge company. No. 2,000 is generally what we want from the end of a campaign. So this is already great.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for your support and the excitement for the game, which has been a lot more than we were expecting, even if the feedback from everybody during the events and the communication we had done was really positive, and we were hopeful. Seeing it all come together like this is really encouraging. So thank you everybody. We do really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
And like I said, 2,000 just before this video was filmed is a great milestone for us. And we're not even a week into the campaign, so this is great. And we're going to talk about some of the repercussions of that once we've talked about Magna Itinera. So if you're expecting some news about some of the questions that have been asked this week, stay tuned. Until then, we're just going to jump into some of the gameplay stuff.
Yes, so let's do it. So as you know, the Magna Itinera expansion, which is this deceptively small box,
but powerful.
Powerful as it contains everything that you can see on the table here in front of me, apart from the little player board, that is part of the main game. So in total, this tiny box contains many cards. It is, I'm trying to do some very quick math, and I am
bad at math, but it's
70 it's 70 cards. I did it. Sorry. So it's 70 cards in total. So we have got 10 new expert cards, which pack quite a punch. We have got 15 legendary animal cards, and we have 45 event cards.
All of this allows you to come back and experience, so we say, some more advanced mechanics for the game. All of this is stuff you won't find in the core box. Even the experts, which work just like the experts in the core game, all of their powers are different.
Yes.
There's none taken from the core box and kind of duplicated. A lot of these abilities also slightly more complicated, give you a little bit more strategic depth, shall we say. But apart from that, they do work like the normal experts. You shuffle into the deck, and they fire and forget. There you
Absolutely.
go.
So
and they do what they say on the tin.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I've put 4 here just to give you guys a bit of an example. So here, for example, we have one of the new experts that lets you take an animal card immediately. So it's a one-shot, play it and discard it card. Hey, an animal card for free is always good news.
Yes, bearing in mind that, once again, it's an instant use. You don't have to use it the turn you take it.
No.
So you could take it one turn and also perhaps get an expedition token if you have the right coloured dice, red in this case, and then keep it for another round where you have a lot of animals come out and go, ooh, there's a lot I need to take here, but I need to, economise my actions. You're kind of banking an action for later on and stopping other people from maybe taking some of the animals you want, as you can play that card whenever you like during a turn.
Very true.
There you go.
The second one we have here lets you re-roll any of your dice once per round. So also very handy if you've got a particularly low value die and you kind of needed something a bit higher. Great option for you. We have a card here that lets you increase the value of your die by 2 every time you take an animal card. So every time you place a die on the Academy to take an animal card, essentially what this allows you to do is get more reputation than you would have gotten.
But it's not, it's fairly big because it means that you can play a dice with value 3 and get the maximum amount of reputation.
Absolutely.
So you're always eking out the most effective value from your dice, which should save you a lot in terms of coins.
Yes.
Normally.
And the final example card we have here on the board is a expert that allows you to ignore one of the event cards currently in play. And as you will see when we show them to you in a couple of minutes, it can be handy to not have to follow the event cards, because some of them are really good and some of them can be a real pain.
They can. Yeah.
So that is the expert cards, like we said, 10 new ones. Little shout out to Alex from Board Game Co here, who absolutely loves the expert cards in the game. Says they're one of his favourite things. So Alex, hopefully this will make you very happy. Give it a go, see what you think. So, next up, we have got the legendary animal cards, which are very fun. So here you can see on the table we have all 15 of them laid out. There are 3 per continent. They are all mythical animals from the legends of the continent in question. So essentially you are going to catch glimpses of these mythical creatures when you go out on your expeditions. They are going to be shuffled into the animal deck the same way as a classic animal card would be. They can come out in the game in exactly the same way. You take them in the same way you would take a regular animal card, and that's where it gets a little bit crazy.
Exactly, because even though you can take them like they are normal animal cards, you don't research and publish them in the same manner. First of all, you can't publish them. They are not to be published.
Well, people would think you were crazy.
Exactly. Three-headed dog, well, madness. Yes. However, when you go on your expeditions, each of the animals has a value.
Yeah.
You can spend that value during your expeditions. Of course, you know, if it's a European mythical animal, you have to go to Europe to research them. Yeah. Normal rules. And they all have a value between 10 and 20. Once you research them, it activates them. And they all have an effect which, like the expert cards, is instantaneous, can be used during the game, or applies scoring at the end of the game. So it really depends what animals come out, depending on what value, what your strategy is, what you really need. There are some that give you extra cubes for different criteria. There are some that, for example, like with the new expert, that allows you to take an animal. This one, the mythical creature, allows you to take 2 animals, which would be really useful on some terms. Once again, if a lot of animals come out and you want to pick them all up at once before your opponents can get to them, and also, you know, reduce the choice your opponents have, that's always really good. And when you do have them, however, at the end of the game, they do count for continent scoring. Right. So they do come along at some point. But once again, the rest, madness. And then finally, we have the event cards.
Yes, we do. So the event cards are this impressive deck of 45, and essentially you are going to choose how heavily they impact your games of Encyclopedia. So you can choose to put from 1 to 4 of them in play every round. So you simply draw the top 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you choose to have. Flip them over, and these are going to be the events that you're going to have to deal with, benefit from, use during this round. At the end of the round, they're discarded and new ones are drawn. So we have some things that will be fairly classic for players that are familiar with the event card mechanics. So here, for example, we have an event card that adds +2 to all expeditions to Africa, so pretty handy. Here we have every time you go to take an expert, you will no longer be able to obtain an expedition token, so not so good. Some of these can block off certain actions entirely, so they make it no longer possible to go to the bank, for example, all this kind of thing. So again, fairly classic. Some of them introduce completely new actions to the game, and this is where I think it gets super interesting. So here, for example, you can choose to discard an expedition token to immediately gain 3 victory points, which is an entirely new action.
Yep, and you can do that as many times as you like during your turn. So there is a real strategy to go and get loads of expedition tokens. Yeah. However, if you're playing with multiple cards, like that one, for example, which reduces the amount of expedition tokens, or maybe there's one that increases the amount of expedition tokens, they can combo off themselves, these event cards. So it can really flip things on their head depending on what round it is.
Absolutely. And then we have these 2 final cards where it gets even more interesting. It gives you an actual new action in the sense that, well, you have to use one of your dice to do it. So these cards, as you can see, have placement spots for dice. So this first one, easy, pretty simple to understand. You place a die, you get a royal seal token. The royal seal being pretty much the most valuable resource in the game. So there are 4 spots, so everybody's going to be able to do it at least once.
Yep.
Or if there's someone who's a little bit more greedy and rushing in to get it, somebody might be able to do it twice, 3 times.
Exactly.
Hey, 4 times. If you let them do it, why not?
And as a reminder, the Royal Seal token is scoring at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It is a sort of mega expedition and coin token as well, so you can change the value and change the color and add to the value. And it's also an extra action at the end of the round. So you could go so far as to say, well, I don't have the dice I need in terms of color and or value, especially in color, so I could take one, put it on there, take a Royal Seal token, and at the end of the round, once everybody's finished, I use that Royal Seal token, take the dice of the colour I need, and then I can get the action with that dice. So there's loads of ways to play it,
super interesting,
depending on what you want to do.
I haven't actually played with these yet, and just looking at them is kind of making me want to sit down and play a game with them, because in terms of gameplay value, it's pretty massive, and
it can really flip the game on its head.
Yeah, for sure.
Once again, everything is very opportunistic because it changes every round.
Yes.
So if, for example, the one where you can discard expedition tokens for victory points comes out, all of a sudden everybody will be reconsidering their strategy for the turn.
Yes.
Generally, or you can ignore it. It's up to you. Maybe if you're set in stone and you have to do something this round. It's not in your interest to go and get a couple of extra points from these tokens. Maybe you're like, well, my strategy was wide open and I have a way of getting 15 points from this round, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you want to do, but going from 1 to 4 cards, 1 card, it will spice things up a bit.
Yeah.
You can make things a bit different.
Sure.
4 cards sometimes can completely turn the round on its head.
Yes.
Which, once again, this does inject a certain element of randomness back in the game. And, for you, those of you that have heard us speak about the element of randomness with the dice and how we want you to be able to control it and have a choice over the results of these dice rolls, values, and colours, this kind of re-injects a little bit of this, I won't say uncontrollable excitement back into it, but it does give you something that you cannot foresee coming.
Yes.
And that you have to react to, purely react to.
Yeah.
Or not, it's really up to you.
I think that for those of us who have already got a few games of Encyclopedia under the belt, these are a great way to really refresh the gameplay experience and give you new things to work with, new things to work around. It's really interesting. And I mean, if we look at this final event card that we have here we have 3 dice placement spots, which are going to give you both coins and expedition tokens, which is so useful. But there are only 3 spaces, and the higher value dice you play, the more tokens and coins you get.
And each one is linked to the value as well. So only one person can place a 1 or a 2. Only one person can place in a 5 and a 6, etc., etc.
Yes, you're right.
In terms of pure gameplay, obviously the legendary animals are the big flashy thing.
Yes.
They are what we love to see.
For sure.
That's what's really going to capture people's eyes, and they are a lot of fun to play with. But if you are looking in terms of pure replayability and really mixing everything up, they may seem fairly normal, these event cards, but they are what will keep you coming back time and time again to replay the game with new rules, new constraints, new bonuses. That's what they're meant to do.
Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah, and I mean, the legendary animals give you a non-negligible bonus each time, whether it's for your end-of-game scoring or just an immediate one-shot. Obviously, their cost to research is kind of comparable with the effect that you get. So in general, if it's an end-of-game scoring thing, it will cost a bit more, all this kind of thing. But super interesting. I would be looking forward to playing with those as well. So that is Magna Itinera. It is available with the all-in pledge. It comes in automatically with that. If you do not want to get the all-in pledge, which has a fair amount of component upgrades, wooden tokens, metal coins, etc., you can get this expansion just on its own and add it to a basic level pledge. This is an exclusive, so this will not be available in stores. It has such a lot of gameplay value that I obviously can only recommend it, although obviously my opinion is massively biased. But definitely take a look into it. It really is an interesting one.
And as a reminder for our non-English or French-speaking backers, well, English, French, Spanish, and Hungarian now, as a reminder, there is the Ambassador Pledge.
Yes.
So if you do want to get your game localized in your language, once again, all the languages that will be available when the game releases in retail are available on the page. There is an Ambassador Pledge where you can still get this and all the exclusive content.
Yeah.
And you can come back and buy the game in store when it releases in your language.
Yes, which was something we didn't talk about in our first video because it was kind of a last minute addition.
It was.
We had tons of distribution partners come in at the last second.
We had a lot of things kind of turn up. I mean, as some of you rightly pointed out, we were originally having an all-in was meant to be €59, but that was only the core game and the box and Magna Itinera. And then we had all of the deluxe components finally come in to a point we were very satisfied with, which allowed us to give you a good price. So here we are.
Yes.
Questions. That's it. Yes, FAQ, because it has been a busy 4 days. What is time anymore? I feel like so much has happened in the space of the weekend that normally happens in the space of like a week or two normally. Like, once again, you guys have been super active. Thank you once again for all the support. It's been great to see. We've had a couple of recurring questions, which we have replied, but we're going to jump into now, just as a reminder or information if you guys didn't know. One of the first ones was concerning the solo mode. So a lot of people have either been asking us for a solo mode or a solo mode where you can play with against more than one AI, or a solo mode where you can change the difficulty. And you'll be happy to know that this is already included in the core box.
Yes.
There is a section for it on the page, and of course that everything you need is in the rulebook, but as a quick reminder, each of the player boards has a separate side, which is the one you can see here.
The other side.
Exactly. There are 3 different difficulty cards, which are used for scoring during the game, and 3 different difficulty cards, which are used for scoring at the end of the game.
Yeah.
You can choose, obviously there is an easy, medium, and hard for each one of these 2 cards, and you can choose to vary them to have a more interactive opponent during the game, but who doesn't score as much at the end of the game, or vice versa, or you can have just one mega hard opponent that really goes at you during the game and can score a lot of points at the end of the game. For those of you that really like to get into solo modes, this is where you will find your challenge, trust me.
Challenging.
We had a problem. We worried if people weren't actually going to be able to beat this one, but then we started to be able to manage to beat it, so we're pretty confident it will be a very good challenge for you guys for quite some time.
For sure. We won't go into, sorry Jay to cut you off, but we won't go into tons of detail about the solo mode.
Everything is on the page.
We do actually have a full video where I sit down with Olivier Mellison, one of the authors of the game, and he walked me through an entire game of solo mode, and we explain it as we go. So if you're a solo player and you'd like to know more about how to play solo mode, I think that video will tell you everything you need to know. But as Jamie said, the solo mode is included in the base box. You can play against more than one AI at a time. You can even add an AI to your multiplayer.
Yes, that I didn't mention, but it's an AI and a solo mode. So if there's 2 of you or 3 of you and you want an extra or 2 extra AI opponents, if there's 2 of you, you can absolutely do that. You can have as many AI as there are player boards, basically. So up to 3, obviously.
I would say that it's actually something that I might try because the AI in this solo mode happens to be very easy to manage, which is great. There's very little calculation. There's no calculation on your part. You simply just do what the card instructs. So it's great for that.
And for those of you that obviously the game plays very well at 2, but if you like a little bit more interaction or you want a little bit more to see a little bit more impact on the board during your 2-player games, once again it is in the core box. It's a great way to mix up your 2-player games.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it really is.
Question number 2 about shipping for our rest of world clients.
Yes.
So we normally don't get, sorry, when I say rest of world, I'm talking kind of like non-European, non-North American. Sorry to group you all in there.
Yeah.
It's just the term we use.
If you are a backer that falls into the rest of world category on the shipping table on the Kickstarter page.
We have some good news for you in any case. So basically, we don't normally get a huge amount of interest from overseas clients. We completely underestimated the level of interest you guys would have for Encyclopedia by a fair amount, which we completely own up to. Normally, we ship from Europe for our rest of world clients, which is why our shipping prices are so high. Though I do want to remind everybody that we do quite heavily subsidize those prices, so we take from our profits in order to at least give you guys a price that is less than the cost of the core box. Because it is very expensive to do, and I won't even get into the whole the amount of returns that we get, shipping that fails, all that kind of thing. However, with the amount of interest we've had, we have been able to go see other partners, other service providers, basically, over the past couple of days, notably for countries like Asia, for Australia, Japan, the Middle East, And the good news is that we have solutions for all of you. We are still confirming the final details, so I don't want to announce anything now, just in case I have to backpedal on this, but normally we should be good. We really are into just the final details of how, basically, when we produce the games and we deliver them to them so they can ship to you, how long does it work? How long does it take? What's the extra shipping time? Can you guys expect your pledges to arrive at the same time as other people's? That kind of little details that we want to make sure you guys are aware of before we do this. However, for the majority of our rest of world backers, I'm very happy to say that we will be able to reduce the shipping cost by around €10 a box minimum, and it will also be shipping friendly. So no import tax, and normally your packages will be in much better hands. We should hopefully have a lot less problems with customs and return packages.
Because it's challenging.
It is challenging. I'm afraid it still remains not exactly cheap.
No.
We won't be able to match the prices for European shipping, though of course that still costs a fair amount. But hopefully this is good for you guys. I mean, once again, even if it is only a €10 reduction on shipping for some of you, the fact that it is now tax friendly, customs friendly, already saves a fair amount of money more than some of you guys will be used to anyway. So that is good news. This is once again being said on Tuesday morning. I have some extra calls and organization work to do before this video goes live on Thursday. However, we hope to confirm all of this around the time this video goes live, or hopefully Friday. We will do a separate update. Don't worry, you guys will see it, but look forward to good news.
Yes.
There you go.
Which is nice. We like to be able to give good news, and it's
exactly.
And it's true that we always have felt bad for rest of world backers because shipping prices are very high. We do everything we can to keep them as low as possible, but it's a challenge.
It's a real challenge. But hey, once again, now we have the support from you guys. We've been able to really justify the expense and the time and the cost to go and do it. So here we are. Good news.
Great stuff.
And then finally, stretch goals. Which we have had some questions about. So for those of you that have followed our previous campaigns, you may know our policies, and ideas on stretch goals. As our campaigns generally aren't massive, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to quickly go through it. As our campaigns generally aren't super enormous compared to some companies, we don't normally do stretch goals. We prefer to give everybody a very clear and concise idea of what they're getting, especially for their money's worth. Normally we have done daily unlocks in the past, which we kind of find to be a good medium. It keeps the campaign animated, has the excitement of stretch goals, but doesn't actually entail people needing to invest in order to get the numbers up. So we find it a nice little balance. For this one, we haven't done that. We prefer to give you a lower price on the core game and a really good offer on the all-in deluxe. However, we do realise that, of course, that doesn't make it as exciting for some people. We do get that. However, as many people have asked, and as we clarified in a previous update, we do have a rather ambitious delivery date for this one. An ambitious
realistic.
Date, but that is realistic, that we have spent a lot of time preparing, but that we do not want to jeopardise.
No.
Hence why stretch goals were always going to be a very complicated manner, because depending on how well the campaign funds, we might have to come up with more stretch goals. We might have to finishing developing some which were bigger, which we couldn't develop before because of cost. I'll spare you all the details, but if you have any questions, feel free to answer them in the comment section and I'll reply as best as I can. So what we are going to do is we do have some ideas for some extra goodies. These aren't really going to be stretch goals. They're more going to be kind of like a daily unlocks, a thank you gift, to be perfectly honest. They're kind of ideas we kind of had before, but we didn't really want to put them in the game right now, bearing in mind that with Encyclopedia, another one of our ideas is to get this game out, have it good quality, have it shipped and delivered on time, and then if you guys like what you see and like what you play, then we can come back later and maybe do some expansions, maybe do some more additional content, some storage upgrades, all that kind of thing. So don't expect us to double the amount of cards in the box with these gifts. They will be fairly small, but they will be concentrated around gameplay. So once again, concentrating on refining your gaming experience, keeping you coming back for more games of Encyclopedia with little rule twists, with little experience changes. The first one of these we have planned for Friday. We had a little thing planned for Friday, and if you go look at the date, I'm sure you'll be able to guess what kind of little thing we had planned. But we were like, okay, well, we can take a step further with this and give you guys something on top of a little giggle. So keep an eye out for that, and we will have more stuff coming as the campaign goes along. more as a thank you for your support, because once again, the campaign is doing really well. And even though, once again, we do not want to jeopardize the delivery date, we do want to show our thanks, and we do want to inject a little bit more of excitement and laughter into the campaign. So we've got some stuff coming. Keep an eye on updates. You will see it when it gets here.
Absolutely. And, you know, in terms of like material upgrades and stuff like that, I mean, as you can see, the game already looks really beautiful. We've poured time and effort into all of the illustration work, into getting all the components just right, making everything look really lovely. It isn't our first rodeo, obviously, in terms of Kickstarter campaigns. So the whole potential pitfalls of excessive stretch goals, we have been through this before. So we do know what we're talking about in terms of just how, you know, badly a project can be delayed by stretch goals. It's not something that we want here, and we are really, really committed to sticking to our September delivery date for Encyclopedia. So that's that's something that we're going to stick to our guns about. But obviously we are, as Jay said, really, really grateful for all the support that we've had. It's been amazing. You guys are amazing. So we are going to do our best to give you that little bit more while ensuring we can still deliver in September.
There you go.
I think
this video has gone on long enough.
I think we have covered everything, and it's already quite a lot.
Yes.
So I hope that this has been helpful to you all. I hope that you're just as excited about Magna Itinera as we are, as in terms of gameplay. It really is super cool. I'm really happy about this expansion. We will be obviously continuing to answer all of your comments as we go along. Feel free to ask us anything. We're always happy to respond.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming in and watching this video. If you have reached the end, we are very grateful. We will be back with a new video, hopefully with the authors of the game, where we can have a chat, maybe even have a play, and show you guys perhaps how some of these work, how different aspects of the game work. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you all again next week. Bye.